and it's called the Divorcee Dante, something like that. Oh, yeah, okay. She's a debutante, so divorce. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna mess it up, but anyway, I want to talk about this. This is the cover. You can see that. Hold on. Okay, this is the cover. Uh, this book was interesting. It was interesting because I felt like it hit close to home. But also, let me give you a quick review of it, and then I'm going to get into the questions that I love when the author puts discussion questions in the back, because I feel like it gives you a better balance of your thoughts and feelings, but also kind of what the author wants you to infer with questions. So, quick recap, this book is about a young lady who was married to this guy for 10 years. They don't have any children. And morning show, really, really messy morning show. And they know something about her, and they know something about her husband. Okay. And they set her up. And when they set her up, she catches her husband in the act of being on top of somebody else. And when this happens, it is caught on tape, so it's live, so other people are able to see it. And so she divorces him. And then a year later, his mother, who was already in their relationship, is bitter because she's like, how dare you ruin our family name? She's not mad at the son, she's mad at her. And not only that, she also is bitter against another person because I'm not going to give that away, but she's bitter against another person. And that person who she's bitter against, she's really mad at his mother and his father. And so she's taking it out on him. But he's supposed to be restoring this home that his ancestors built by hand. His great great grandfather, I think, or great grandfather, built this home, this manor by hand for his wife. And he is trying to restore it. But the bitter mother-in-law of the ex-mother-in-law of the other woman bought it. And so she is doing everything she can to make his life a living hell. And he's not really sure why. He just knows that she doesn't like him. And it comes out in the story later on why she doesn't like him. But what was interesting about this story to me is that you have a person who, when you think about like black excellence, that's what I think about, because the story was about, they have like these debutante balls, and then they have, the young ladies who are coming, and then you have these mothers who are like, you're going to marry this person, and this is who you're going to marry, and this is black excellence. And so because of that, you have this woman who is 30 years old or older, and her life has been dictated by her mother-in-law and her own mother. And so she now is like, damn, I'm divorced. I'm very unhappy. And not only am I unhappy because people are taking recordings of her, because the person that her ex-husband cheated with is one of those women who's on like a, oh my goodness, what's that show called? A housewife show. And so, of course, she has her own like fans, and they are attacking her. She even went to go and get a journal because she's in this program to like find herself. And she went to get a journal, and the young lady took her phone out and just took a picture of her. And so she feels like damn, I didn't do anything wrong. My husband cheated on me, but because this person is for in the world of this, in the world of being the, what do they call it, the housewives, people are looking at me like it's my fault. That's the problem. And so I found this book interesting as someone who's gone through divorce, as someone who's gone through infidelity with her partner. I found it interesting that it was similar to what I went through, where once you get over what happened, you have to choose yourself. And the only reason why she chose herself is because she she had a guy who is the one who's developing this home and his ancestors' home. And he's known her since they were in school. And he's like, I've liked you for 10 years. I didn't say anything because you chose the other guy, but now it's 10 years, and I really want to get to know you better. I really want to be in your life. I really want to be with you. And his friends are like, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. And she's like, I'm kind of like learning myself now, so I don't know if I really want to get into another relationship. And I thought that was interesting, moving into the space of she has to deal with her mother-in-law who still wants her to be at her beck and call. She has this ex-husband who is like, I want you back. I'm sorry, I guess, even though I cheated on you. And not only did I cheat on you with this young lady, but he definitely cheated on her with someone who was close to her. And also, she now has to plan the wedding of his brother. So she has to see them. She has to see her ex mother in law. She has to see her ex husband. And she is like, I need to do this because when I was working as this up and coming event planner and I've solidified my place in our city, I have to do this because my mother in law is trying to ice me out. She is like, you ruined our family name, so you shouldn't be able to do anything. When reading these books, especially when it comes to people who believe in like black excellence and things like that, this book really honed in on the haves and the have nots because they have a group almost like Jack and Jill in the book. And because her mother in law was nasty and bitter, she didn't want other people to be in that group. And because she wielded this power because of her name, she was able to get away with things. And because of that, she ruined other people's lives. And I thought it was interesting as well that her mother also fed into this narrative of you should get back with your husband. He made a mistake, but all men make mistakes. So you should go back with him. Like, what's the big deal? And that was kind of like what all the older women that she was dealing with were kind of in that same mindset. Like, you don't say what has happened in your household. You keep that under wraps. Although he put it on Front Street because it was live streamed. And so now she's dealing with the backlash of that because people feel like it's her fault that she was not taking care of him. And because he cheated with somebody who is a well known, housewives diva, then it now became them two against each other. And so I thought it's really interesting to see how she was able to navigate that by also going onto social media and creating something different to say, hey, I'm a real person. I am learning myself. I'm doing better. And yeah, it hurt. It hurts that I got cheated on. It hurts that I thought I wasn't enough. It hurts that my ex-husband just called me. Mind you, we've been divorced for a year. He just called me and asked me about t-shirts. He's been blowing up her phone, blowing up her with text messages, and then calls her about t-shirts. And so that was her very first video that she did, was about, I've done all these things to make sure that he had a house, a home, and he felt needed, he felt validated, and he shitted on me. And so now I have to pick up the pieces. And getting into that space, I thought was very, very interesting to see from the standpoint of a black woman who's like, I've done all this stuff. I did everything I was supposed to do. And my family is pretty much telling me that I need to suck it up and go back with him because having a piece of man is better than having no man. All right. Now, in the back of the book, they have questions, which I really, really love. And one of the questions is what surprised you most about the book? I would say what surprised me most about this book, honestly, is her being able to give grace. Because there's a part in the book where she lost money, a lot of money. And instead of her suing, and not only did she lose money, she lost her entire inventory. And she had been having this inventory for years because she's an event planner, and she lost everything and went to a fire. And when she found out what happened with that fire, and she found out that her ex mother-in-law was a part of that, she still gave her grace. I would have I would have sued the shit out of her, and I would have had to find somebody to like just get her, because she lost everything and she was planning a wedding, and the wedding of this woman's second son. And she did that because she knew that she wanted to sabotage her. That was my thing. second one was, what scene has stayed with you the most? Huh. Excuse me. I think the scene that stayed with me the most is when she learned how to take back her power. I think that's something that, as a person who went through something similar, having to take back your power is a big undertaking. And I love that she was able to do that in a way where she was supported, because she had a life coach. I think she was also in therapy. And so her life coach really helped her to understand what she needed to do. I think a lot of times when women are in these positions where they get cheated on, especially you've been married for 10 years and you get cheated on in a very public way, and you really don't have any recourse, because if you crash out, it's going to be all over social media. And people already think of you as this down on her luck, whatever person. And so she had to be very like aware of what she could and could not do, because again, she's a debutante. So she has been taught, I have to sit up straight. I have to wear my heels. My hair is always perfect. My lips are always perfect. I am supposed to be what femininity looks like. And when she went against that, and when she found herself, she cut her hair. She got a little cute little pixie. She started wearing red lipstick. She started being more outspoken. And I think that was something that I really enjoyed her evolution in this book, because she's down south. I think she was down south. What I see is that because she went against what was supposed to be based on where she lives for this debutante, even though she's a 30 something year old woman, she created boundaries with her mother. She created boundaries based on dealing with her ex-husband's mother and dealing with her ex-husband. She had to create those boundaries. And so because she was able to do that, she was able to move further in her healing journey and find love again. So that was my um, scene that really hit me the most. Would you fall for Ebony or Link? So Ebony is the main character female, and Link is main character male. I would fall for Link. I would fall for Link because he knew what he wanted. Like Link was like, I've loved you since the first time I saw you. I feel like I loved you since the first time I saw you. And he waited for 10 years. He was still her friend, but he was okay with waiting, which can go either way. But he was very clear, like he really loved her. And the only reason why he did not ask her to be with him is because of interference from her mom and the other guy's mom. You gotta watch these people. You gotta watch them, because they think they knew better than her. And for 10 years, she was with someone who she should have not been with because of the interference of her mother and her ex-mother-in-law. Craziness. That was crazy. So Link would be who I would be with for sure. Strong friendships play an important role in both Ebony and Link's lives. What was your favorite moment that highlighted those connections? In the book, she is planning the wedding of a young lady who, one, she's been friends with her sister for like almost 20 years. She also is planning the wedding of her ex-husband's younger brother. And so for me, what was the question? Strong friendship play. Okay, what's your favorite moment that highlight those connections? And I think there's a point in this story where they're at the bridal shower, I think it is, or engagement party of this couple. She, even though it's been a year since she's been divorced, Ebony's been divorced, she still is, she's learning more about herself. And she's like, I don't want to go in here, but I need to go in here because, I love this young lady. I've known her sister since, we were younger, and she is like a little sister to me. So her friends were like, if you don't want to stay here, we can pop in and pop back out. But what was wild is that her ex-husband, even though they've been divorced for a year, her ex-husband is like, hey, so can I talk to you for a minute? And her girls rallied around her and was like, for what? What are you doing? And then he was like, I just need to talk to you. And she was like, I'll give you 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And then he was like, "Can I talk to you in private?" And her girlfriends was like, "No." They all said at the same time, "No." That is the type of friends you want when you're dealing with people who mean you harm. Her friends were like, "Nah, we don't have to talk, but we know what happened, and we don't want you to be by her with you by herself because you don't deserve that." So that, I think, when I'm thinking about the highlights, the moments that highlighted those connections that she had with her friends, that I think was the most pivotal part. In Link's, with Link's friends, they loved him, but it was weird because it was almost like they were telling him, he had one friend who was telling him, "You've waited so long to try to get with this person. Why are you still waiting?" And I get it. I think that's a good friend because it's been 10 years. Why are you waiting for her to feel like she loves you? And he also was like, "I have a young lady for you to meet." So I feel like that part was really good, but I also feel like once they established that they loved each other in their relationship, they gave him shit advice. So he started to go to a woman to get the advice he needed. Let me see. How does the title work in relation to its contents? If you could give the book a new title, what would it be? So the book's title is the divorce Tante, because again, she is. Let me go back to the cover. So that is the book cover, if you can see it. And she's a debutante, and she got divorced. Um, I think the title is perfect. I think seeing her in her dress, the yellow, based on what I saw and read in the book, is perfect. Especially when we talk about like debutantes in these pastel, not pastel, well some pastel pinks, but just the colors. I think this lends itself to what they were talking about with the femininity side of her. She was always told to not get upset. You have to make sure that people, hear you. You have to make sure that you are showing up as your perfect version of yourself always, like you are what black excellence and femininity looks like together. And so you can't deviate from that. Like we don't do bright colors, we don't do like bright bold lipsticks, we don't do short hair, we do long hair, like all these things that show up as I'm playing into this trope of what femininity looks like. She slashed that when she was able to find herself. So I think that this yellow dress that she has on goes into that. So I think that was a really good question. But I don't think I would change anything because I think it matches exactly, the title and the cover matches exactly what the book is supposed to be about. Was it the scandal, the romance, or the steamy scenes that surprised you the most? The scandal. The scandal. Okay. The scandal for me was wild because it was a generational scandal. Like, how are you still mad? How are you still mad? So mad that you would then take it out on the child of the people that you are mad about. That scandal was wild to me. You are so upset. You are so bitter. You are so in your feelings that you use your power not for good. You use your power to try to crush people who you don't like. And then you use your power to crush someone because your child, your son was caught on camera having an extramarital affair and you blame his ex-wife. And so instead of you taking the L and talking to your child, you blame his wife, his ex-wife. And because of that, you do your best to make her life, her job, a living hell. And you get so mad at her that you're doing everything you can to make sure that she fails. Like, that scandal to me was wild because the level of depravity that you have to have in your mind to believe that what you're doing is right, to not only try to punish someone, but then you make it seem like you are supposed to do that because they crossed the line when they decided that they didn't want to do respectability politics anymore. Like you wanted her to come back to the person who disrespected her, not in private, but on live TV. And not once, but twice. Like that was wild to me. And then for you to be mad about it, but not mad at your son, but mad at the woman. That's a deeper level of misogyny and depravity. So that the scandal was the craziest part about this book for me. And then which characters' motives caught you off guard the most? Her friend, who was supposed to be her best friend, that is really what caught me off guard the most, is that you are her friend, yet you are hiding something from her, a deep, dark secret from her. And also, what was wild to me is that your friend didn't really see a problem with what she did at all and wasn't even going to say anything to you. And someone had to tell you what happened. But mind you, you have been trying to blow her phone up and she would never answer the phone. And so for her to then act like we could still be friends after what she did to you, it's a wrap. Mm-mm. That was for me, that caught me off guard. The media plays a major role in Ellswood. Between the news headlines, the morning tea, Lux Ladies of Ellswood, text messages, and the Divorcee Tante Chronicles, which would you want more of and why? Hmm. So the morning tea was the show that she went on, Ebony went on to have a conversation with them about a woman's brunch that was supposed to be happening. Instead, they twisted that around because they knew that her husband was up to no good, and they set her up to catch him having sex with someone else, an extramarital affair. So that was the morning tea. The Lux Ladies of Ellswood, the person that he had the extramarital affair with is a person who's on that show, kind of like Housewives. So that was crazy that he thought that that would happen anyway, and it wouldn't get out there. Um, Text messages. I don't think that was a big thing. The Chronicles, the Divorce Tante Chronicles. I think I would want more of her chronicles because when she was talking and being open and honest about what was happening in her life, I think it helped a lot of other women to process maybe what they were going through and what was happening. She shared her stories, almost like what you see people do on TikTok, where they'll have like, what's that, Risa Tisa, who had like that 50-part series of what happened with her ex-husband. I think they were married, ex-husband. It wasn't like that per se, but it was more of her talking about her going on dates, her trying to find love. Um, she was being a little scandalous sometimes, and she actually did talk about the, like, when her ex-mother-in-law was trying to break bad, she did speak about that, but it was really more so her taking back her power. And so I would have loved to, if this was real, to see more of that, because I thought that was interesting. Let me see, if you were to reread this book, what details do you think would stand out the second time around? If I was to reread this book, I think the details for me that would stand out the most is she did a lot of like introspective things. So she would be talking to someone, the main character, Ebony, and then just be looking off into space. Almost like I guess That's So Raven, when she had like the moment where she was given a vision. I feel like that's what she was doing throughout this book. And so it was kind of like being an overthinker. As someone who's an overthinker, I felt like a kindred spirit with that because I daydream a lot. I read a lot, so I daydream a lot. Um, and so I felt like that part of the story, to if I was to reread it, I would really focus on her thoughts when she was having those moments, and then the people around her and how they were dealing with that as well. What do you imagine happens to Lincoln Ebony after the final chapter? I feel like in her 10-year marriage, she did not have children with this gentleman. And so I feel like Ebony and Link, after the final chapter, I feel like they do have a child. I really do. And I feel like that because she didn't say she didn't want children, but they were all, this book was a lot about like legacy And that was the other thing that kind of like, but I'll get into that. But it was a lot of legacy things. And so I feel like that would be the one thing that, of course, they're going to get married because she really wanted to get married. So I think them getting married, her planning a fabulous wedding because she's an event planner, but also her having a child. Now that child might come before they get married, the way they was going at it, but I do think that would be what would take place in this book. Um, which okay, so which character would I like to see center stage in a future book? I think honestly, I would actually like to see in the next book um, the person her ex husband cheated with. And I say that because I don't want to give the book away if you haven't read it, but I say that because there's a part in the book where she tells her truth of what she thought was happening and how that was for her like deeply hurtful. And she didn't mean to hurt Ebony because the information she was given and what actually happened were two separate things. And so I feel like in this book, she, if there was another book, like the second book, I would really want to see her almost have her moment like Ebony did, where Ebony had, she went online, she was sharing her story, she was sharing her truth. I would actually like to see her share her truth. I think that, a lot of people are like, well, that she was the mistress, so why we want to hear from her? But I felt like that would be interesting because she was lied to. And I'm not going to give it away, but she was definitely lied to. And so what she was told and what happened, and then also her the what's his name? The Ebony's ex-husband also navigating her ex-husband's mother. She now has to navigate with that mother because that mother was like, my son is marrying you. And that was wild. Because again, she is steamrolling everybody else because she wants her way. And again, like I said, with respectability politics and black excellence, even though her son cheated on his wife, was caught on camera cheating on his wife, because he was caught on camera cheating on his wife, he lost his job, and now he's just doing what the fuck ever. And he's starting fights, okay? Because he started a fight with Ebony's new man. Doing all this stuff. And now here we are. And the mother is still like, you're going to get married because that's what you're going to do. Like that, I thought that was wow. So I would really want to hear the mistress. Like I would want to know where she is, what she's doing, how she's navigating this new normal for her, how she's navigating dealing with that mother that the son never set boundaries for her. It's, you know what? It's like those women who have sons and they're like, my son is my life. My son is like my, I don't want to say husband. I have seen people say some shit like that. Or my son is like I don't know if y'all saw I know y'all love Janet. I like Janet too. But it was like watching the documentary when Janet's documentary when she said she had a son and she was like, I got my man now. That's the type of energy this mother in this book was given. That son was her man. And she did not want anything to go wrong because her man should not be anything but put on a pedestal. And when he was knocked down, it's never his fault. How dare you say it's his fault? It's everybody around him, it's the women around him. And that was dangerous. It was dangerous because his mother knew no bounds. She was going to do everything and anything in her power to make her son look like he was the top echelon of their little community. And because of that, she was just a nasty bee, a very nasty bee. So, knowing all of that about this mother, I would like to see the mistress. I don't know if she's gonna write a book about the mistress, but if she did, I would read that. I really would, because she got lied to. She got lied to and had receipts. She had receipts to back up that she was lied to. Like that in and of itself was like, oh shit. So he lied to you. His mama probably knew. And now you have to deal with the consequences of, you know, dealing with a married man. So yeah, this book is called The Divorced Tante. Actually, I want to know if she wrote another book because this is book one. So I don't know. But this is the cover of the book. If you can see that, it is by Mia Heisen. I don't know if that T is silent. Heisenmel. So I'm just going to say Heisenmel. This is the cover of the book. It's a beautiful cover. I don't know who her illustrator was, but it's beautiful. But even on the cover of the book, you can see like she has her beautiful red lips. She has her beautiful red nails. And let me say this. So if you're here, I appreciate you being here. I'm going to switch gears for a little bit. When I'm talking about like the Black excellence and trad wives, let me just say that a lot of Black women are connected with the trad wife like mindset because in this book, her mother, Ebony's mother, and her ex-husband's mother were very much, you should be silent and let your husband do all the talking. And if he cheats, it is okay because that's what men do. And your job, your role is to still provide him with a home. Period. And so when she deviated from that, when she switched it, her mother didn't know what to do. Her mother did not know what to do. And that is something that when we think about like I said, these trad wives, these Black women and stuff, and I pointed out her red nails because when I'm a boudoir photographer, if you don't know, I'm a boudoir photographer and I work mostly with Black women. One of the things that I recall, especially with my older clients, is they didn't wear red lipstick and they didn't do red nails. Even when I got married, I remember when I got married and I wanted red nails. And I remember the manicurist. I think she was Ukrainian. She was Ukrainian. She was either Ukrainian or Russian. I don't remember. I just remember like she had an accent from one of those countries. She refused to do. Mind you, I'm paying her to do red nails. And then when I said I wanted red nails, I remember talking like with some of my older clients, and they also were like, "We don't do that. Like red is seen as like whore red in the Black community." And I know that is something that a lot of you don't want to think about, but it is. And I remember I had another boudoir photographer say the same thing to me. She's older than me, and she was saying the same thing about growing up in church and how there were certain things that you just did not wear and you just did not have. And red nails and red lips were one of them. So it was interesting that in the book, one of the first things she did was when she cut her hair, she put on those red lips. And I thought that was such a monumental moment when we think about Black women showing up and taking ownership of themselves, because that was one thing that her mother did not like, was those red lips, bold colors that she decided that she was going to wear. Did not like it because how dare you? You are a debutante. You are supposed to wear pastels. You're supposed to have wavy straight hair, which she did. You're supposed to be meek, mild, submissive. You're not supposed to be loud. You are supposed to just take it. Even when people were being disrespectful to her, people that she didn't know, people that were out in public, she still had to rely on her debutante ways because she just said, I can't show up in any type of way because as a debutante, this is how I'm supposed to address people. This is how I'm supposed to stand in this, I'm going to call it Black excellence type of stuff. So I think that was, for me, reading that and seeing that and understanding how that plays into why she for 10 years stayed in this relationship. And she said, I stayed 10 years too long. And even with the evidence that her husband was stepping out on her, instead of her taking that knowledge and being like, I need to like, oh, I need to maybe like get out of here, she instead called the person who told her that her husband was stepping out on her a liar. And as someone who dealt with the same exact thing, I never called the person a liar, but I remember I have instances where people were telling me things about my ex. And because I was so like, I had put in so much time in this relationship, so much effort in this relationship, I just let it go. And the same thing with her. And then when she found her power, when she found her voice, she changed everything about her. Um, yeah, yeah. I think that's a powerful statement for someone, especially for Black women to see that. I mean, there were moments in the book where I was like, but I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. If you happen to read it, please let me know what you think. Because I think this is one of those books that you can get something out of it, especially the questions. Like in the back of the book, there are 11 questions, which I just answered, which I think are important to you understanding the book. And so I love that. As someone who reads a lot and who like kind of pushes through, it was nice to have those questions to grasp and like go through what I actually read and digested and hold space for those moments. So yeah, I really loved it. Now, what I'm going to say is what I always say. You are your longest and most expensive relationship. So any money or time that you spend being your favorite version of yourself is never money or time wasted. Thank you for watching this. If you're watching this now, if you're watching this later, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me know how you felt about this book. Let me know how you feel about infidelity. Let me know how you feel about showing up for yourself. Let me know how you feel about red lipstick. Let me know how you feel about your growth if you had to go through something. Put it in the comments because I feel like this book is a really good book that talks about the growth that someone has to go through in order to love themselves. Seriously love themselves. So yeah. All right, y'all. Have a good night.